Imagine with me, my friend, in a time when there were men who decided to sacrifice their manhood not for religion or love, but to get closer to the emperor and live in the heart of the palace. How and why? That's what I will tell you about today. The story of the eunuchs in ancient China. The story began more than 2,000 years ago. During the Western Han dynasty, around 200 BC, the emperor lived in a palace filled with hundreds of wives and concubines. Something called the emperor's harem. Of course, he was terrified of any strange man getting close to them. Just imagine if it happened, a child could come from that relationship and claim the throne. Obviously, that's a disaster. The solution they invented was specific for the men who entered the palace. Yes, indeed, their testicles were removed and sometimes even the entire organ. And what hurts more is that sometimes they performed this operation on young children. Imagine a poor family handing over their son themselves to become a eunuch. I really can't imagine how they could do something like that. But in their minds, this boy could achieve a high status in the royal court. Initially, their role was simple: to serve, clean, and watch over the women. But their closeness to the emperor opened other doors for them, and they became scribes, the people who collected taxes, advisors, politicians, and so on. And they gained tremendous influence. During the Tang dynasty, the eunuchs remained more powerful than the state minister. In the Ming dynasty, the situation exploded. Can you believe that their number in the imperial court sometimes reached 70,000 eunuchs? It's like talking about an entire city inside the palace. The most famous one among them was named something like Wei Chuxian in Chinese. This man started his life as a small washer, but ended up controlling the entire court. The ministers were more afraid of him than of the emperor himself. Imagine during my rule, historians call this period the era of terror and corruption. Conspiracies, alliances, everything was on fire. Despite all that, there were eunuchs who were so trusted that the emperor relied on them more than his own family. Why did the emperor trust these people so much? First, they had no descendants, meaning they couldn't start a family of their own. Their entire lives were tied to the palace. They literally never left the palace.
And the eunuch himself was a symbol of loyalty, someone who sacrificed his body to serve the emperor.
But of course, when a large number of people with no future come together, the result is often corruption. That's why the word eunuch in Chinese culture became a political accusation meaning traitor and corrupt. The end came with the entry of the 20th century. China began to undergo modern reforms, and the role of the eunuchs diminished. In the year 1924, when the last emperor of China, Puyi, was expelled from the Forbidden City in Beijing, the era of the eunuchs officially ended. But the surprise is that the last famous eunuch named YouTube lived until the year 1996. He wrote in his memoirs and talked about his tragic life and how he sacrificed himself but lived without finding a worthy reward. I mean, everyone from the year 1200 BC until 1924, more than 2,000 years. Colic was a symbol of absolute loyalty, but it was also a symbol of corruption and betrayal. A story that shows us how power can change a person's fate to the extent that they might sacrifice the most precious thing they have, their body.